We all have storms in our lives that cleanse, clear, and convert the aftermath into a rainbow. If you have the right attitude, you can grow and weather the storm. Let's talk about it now over lunch with Stormy.
Everybody, and welcome. I'm Stormy Simon. I'm a businesswoman, e-commerce pioneer, and an outspoken advocate, which is a far cry from where I came from. But it's my passion for people and social justice, which has led me here to share inspiring conversations with really special guests over lunch with me, Stormy. So I was going to tell a little story today before we got to our guest, but I got to tell you, I'm so excited to be with this man today. So I'm just going to go right into it because he's the most important thing going on. And we're having lunch today with, can I say Tommy fucking Chong or just Tommy? I'm not sure because my heart is screaming.
It's Tommy no longer fucking Chong.
Tommy no longer fucking Chong, if you can believe that. An actor, best-selling author, Grammy Award-winning comedian, which is amazing, an activist, and everyone's sweetheart of cannabis. He's legendary for his invaluable contribution to our American counterculture as part of the iconic comedy duo Cheech and Chong. I'm sitting with half of Cheech and Chong. My 15-year-old self is
the top half.
Rolling over. The top half, absolutely. The best half. Your guys' Up in Smoke comes out when I'm about 10 years old. I remember seeing it about 13-ish, right around then, right when I was smoking pot. And I never laughed so hard. The only movie before that had done that for me was The Jerk with Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
With you guys, I found so much laughter, and I literally found my funny. Before I was even a stoner, I was so involved with the community.
Good.
So your name is just synonymous with cannabis. You've recently launched your own line of hand-selected products under the brand of Tommy Chong's Cannabis at TommyChong.com. And if anybody knows weed, it's you. And for us, the people that have loved your comedy for so long can now enjoy your cannabis as well. And you can find all these strains, including CBD products, in legal weed states.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
And it's now it's Tommy Chong, Bud.
Bud.
This is what do you call it?
It's
Singles?
rainbow cookies.
Yeah. There's just one joint in there, but they cost a ton of money.
But worth every penny. You can carry this.
Well,
you can be in the car with this.
The weed's not expensive, but it's a packaging.
Isn't it crazy?
That's what costs money. The weed's the cheapest. Now that represents a lot of dreams.
Doesn't it?
And nice dreams. Too.
Nice dreams. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I want to talk about all that today. First, I want to talk about the impact, knowing you and following you and growing up a stoner with you, and that counterculture. And when I think of the impact that you had not only on counterculture, but me, I'm so white. My 23andMe is you are so white, girl.
Well, white sexy.
I'm white. Thank you. Well, we're trying to bring it back. We're trying to bring white back.
Unless
Tommy.
you got two white sheets and then you disappear. Yeah.
That's me. But I grew up in Utah. So really conservative place. I did.
Oh, Are you Mormon?
I am not.
Do you know Mormons?
I am surrounded by them on a daily basis there.
That's nice. They're nice people.
They're great people.
Sweet people.
Very sweet, but they're not stoners.
Yeah, right.
So I was there with them.
Were there any teenagers there?
They were. We were having babies. So that's not even funny, but I did have a baby.
No, but you do. You find that drug use is prevalent among teenagers.
Yeah.
Including Mormons.
Including the Mormons. Yeah. That's right. They hide it better than most.
Oh, yeah. Everybody gets high.
Still a great time.
Yeah.
But I think, when I think about the time that you and, your partner Cheech stepped forward and brand yourself as stoners, you won a Grammy in 1973 for your comedy album.
Yep.
And in 1970s, cannabis becomes a Schedule I drug.
Mm-hmm.
And about 1978, you guys are making movies about smoking weed and interacting with the police, who, at the time were creating a really segregated division with the plant and the people. and a lot focused on black and brown people.
Yeah, well, we found out later that it was a financial decision.
Which part?
Well, the cops could stop brown people and not only harass them and put them in jail, but make a living off it,
Right.
Confiscate our weed and take our money. Forfeiture laws.
Yeah.
And so all that was designed to make it easier for the establishment, the police, to make a profit off of black market weed.
It was insane, and for
Which
decades.
they did. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. That's why it's so
Absolutely.
hard to get all the regulations together. Because deep down in their heart, they don't want to make it legal. They want to keep it, the way it is. Maybe not put people in jail, but at least make a living off it.
The economic effect on
Yeah.
law enforcement and prisons with the legalization of marijuana is extreme, and
Extreme.
on the opiates and everything. But you guys used humor.
Yeah.
You used humor to keep it alive and give lifelines to people who found, comfort with the plant. It's interesting when you meet, we've all been labeled stoners until now, and now that's a word nobody wants to talk about. But you wore that badge with such pride
Yeah.
and paved the way for people to do that as well.
Yeah.
At a time that wasn't easy.
No.
And you weren't born in America. You're
I was born in Canada.
a poor black child.
No, that's Cheech Marin.
I know, my
No,
jerk
actually,
reference again.
I'll tell
see?
you what. I did marry a black woman, my first wife, and I have two very beautiful black children. Tommy Chong was one of them.
That's
She's
right.
very famous. She was the
Yes.
first of many things, and being mixed and being a major movie star is definitely one of them.
Yeah,
you know.
she paved the way for
And
sure.
so I right as soon as I got out of the womb, I started doing my activism thing.
And what drew you? How old were you when you first smoked marijuana?
I was 17 years old.
Really?
I remember it very
And
distinctly.
you loved it? It just
I was a musician by that time, and I was in a jazz club. Even though I didn't play jazz, if you carried your instrument into the club, they let you in free.
Right.
Thinking that you're a musician. So that's what I used to do in Calgary, because that was the only after-hours club around in the whole city.
at 17
Oh yeah.
after hours.
Oh yeah. Well, when you're in Canada, especially in Calgary, 8 years old is when you're considered an adult.
Stop. Is that real?
Oh yeah, because you become a farmhand. At 8, you can carry something. You can carry water. You can do something. You feed the chickens, and so by the time you're 17, you're like almost like an old man, and so you're getting ready to get married.
Right.
And so,
I had
but
a
I
baby
never.
at 17.
Yeah, it was an alcohol thing growing up. As soon as you got old enough, even younger, people start drinking alcohol, because that's what they did back then in Canada, and so it was an alcohol society.
Right.
And then a buddy of mine from a jazz musician, Chinese guy, Raymond Ma. He's a bass player. He was a bass player. He came from California with a Lenny Bruce record and a joint as a present to me.
And you took both well.
I took both, but I didn't smoke the joint because I wasn't sure. I put it in my pocket, and he lit one up himself, and I changed my life. It changed my life. I think the next day or the next week I went and quit school and become a blues musician.
And then, so we were talking about humor, but that continued. So I made some notes on this. The first name of your band,
Which one?
Little Daddy and the Bachelors.
Oh no! That was the second name. So the first name was the Shades.
Oh, the Shades.
We were the Calgary Shades. Well, it ended up being Calgary Shades, but originally we were the Shades. And the reason we called ourselves the Shades was there was a black Canadian what do you call it? Their ancestors were slaves from Texas. His name was Tommy Milton. He was a star football player. He was black. A full-blood Sarsi Native Indian from Calgary, Dick Bird. So he was like red.
Right.
And me, I'm half Chinese. And so that's why we call ourselves the Shades. Rare, medium, and well done.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
That's early.
Yeah, that was
That's
the first
early.
mixed group. And then
Amazing.
Dick went on by himself, and Tommy and I formed the band, which eventually was called Little Daddy and the Bachelors.
And so who was Little Daddy?
Tommy Melton.
He was?
Tommy Melton. He was Little Daddy.
Okay, so you hit, I want to note on Bobby Taylor and the Vancouver's,
Yeah.
that did you have a number 29 Billboard chart
We sure did.
single?
Yeah,
So
we sure
great success in it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, it
sometimes you just
changed-
got to rename yourself until it sticks.
It was funny, too, because when we got signed, like I said, Barry Gordy forgot about us. He had so many bands at the Four Tops, the Supremes, the Temptations, everybody. He
Right.
had everybody. And Stevie and all that, the whole Marvin Gaye, he had a big roster. And so he kind of forgot about us. But Bobby Taylor was such a phenomenal singer. He could sound better than Marvin Gaye and Stevie and Smokey. And they knew it. And so when we finally got into Motown and we played at the River Rooster Tail, I think it was the club, the whole club was filled with Motown acts. They come in to hear our band.
That's so epic.
And then I wrote a poem called "Does Your Mama Know About Me?" And this piano player, white guy from Vancouver, Tom Baird, he was a composer, like a David Foster, only from Calgary. And so Tom took our my poem.
Yeah.
He was just looking through. I write poetry, and he was looking through a book of it one time. I don't know why, but he found it, and he says, "Can I take this and make a song?" And so he wrote the music to it, and it's a story about a mixed love affair, between a black guy. I actually wrote it about Bobby Taylor.
Really?
Or actually, Tommy
That's
Milton.
beautiful.
Tommy was the first guy because our lead singer, Tommy, is beautiful. Physical specimen, man. He was, like I said, he was a star football player. And so when we performed, he would do all sorts of acrobatic things, and we entertained. Like I used to play the guitar behind my back. And,
I was looking for some old
upside
video
down
of this.
and all that. It was before videos.
Gosh, that hurts my
There's
heart.
no such thing.
Hurts my heart.
But the band. We were extremely popular, and Tommy was extremely popular with the girls. And it was always the prettiest white girls, and it was always this. You had to hide.
Right.
You couldn't have an outside affair, And that started a whole trend of black guys and white girls in Canada, especially Vancouver.
And then it hits the charts with that very song.
Yeah, when we did that song, and then it just changed Motown. Diana Ross, after that, she recorded the song, actually.
Did she really?
Yeah, she did. It's a great version on Love Child album. And so we inspired that poem. It inspired Love Child, Papa Was a Rolling Stone, all the racially
That's no
themed
idea.
songs. Yeah,
Wow, you've been pushing pop culture for a minute.
all my life.
Okay, so then right after that, it's got to be close. You meet Cheech somewhere.
Well, I got fired from Motown.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I got fired for getting
Booted.
a green card. They had no idea what a green card was. And by that time, as soon as we had a hit record, Bobby Taylor was yanked from the Vancouvers and made a single act. And Smokey Robinson wrote songs for him. And he had quite a career, with Bobby. He was quite a legend there. And so the Vancouvers, we were relegated to be backing Chris Clark. And so we were in New Jersey, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And I had to go back to Detroit to go to my meeting for my green card. Because if you miss an immigration meeting, they can deport you, and then you'll never get another chance just for missing the meeting. And so I had to go back, and I told the road manager at the time, listen, I'm going to miss Saturday. I'm going to go back to get my green card. And I had the bass player, Wes, with me, too. We were both going to get our green card. And so the guy had no idea what a green card was. Johnny Bristol was his name, by the way. He had no idea. He said, well, you miss a gig, you're fired. And I said, oh, okay, never mind, man. It's too long to explain to him, you know. So Saturday comes, we fly back, get my green card. Then I go to get my ticket to come back to New Jersey, and there's no ticket for me. There's one for Wes, but none for me. And so I had a little sneaking suspicion that there was something going on. But I had to go back to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, because I had my girlfriend, not my wife, but my girlfriend with our baby in the motel. She was on the road with me. And I had all my instruments and my amp and everything, so I had to go back to collect my belongings. I went to Motown, and Motown cut me a check, you know, for the air flight. I go back, and we have this confrontation with the road manager and the band's there. They're getting ready to play, and so I walked up there with my guitar, and Johnny said, "No, you're fired, man. I told you, you miss a gig, you're fired." And I looked at the band because the band could have said, well, if he's fired, we're not playing.
Right.
And they never said a word. They just looked at me. They looked away. They looked away. I looked at every one of them. They all turned their head on me. And then I realized, wow, you know, these guys are definitely not on my side, including Wes, who I got a green card for.
Right.
And he never got fired. It was me. So anyway, I walked back to the motel. I was really feeling weird. You know, it was my band.
Right.
I got fired from
Isn't
my
that
own
terrible?
group. And so I got my amp and I got my guitar and I come into the motel and Shelby, she goes, "Oh, you're home early." I said, "I got fired." And she never missed a beat. She's, "Oh, that's great, man. That band sucked." She says, come to bed. I'm still with her.
That's the best.
We're still together. And it was great. It worked out great because then when I went back to Detroit, I realized the band, she's right, the band did suck. And then we're at a cheap midnight movie theater, 25-cent movie or a 50-cent movie.
Yeah.
That's all we could afford back then. We're sitting in the movies watching a movie called Alice B. Toklas with Peter Sellers. It's a hippie movie about the hippies. It's shot in Venice Beach.
Oh, love.
And we looked at that movie and said, "Let's go there. What are we doing here? Let's go there." So we ended up going to, I quit the band, went back. Barry Gordy called me up. He says, "It was a mistake, man. You're not fired." And I said, "I think I want to stay fired, man. I want to become a Barry Gordy. I don't want to be one. I don't want to work for one."
That's right.
And he said, "I respect that." And he gave me a little chunk of money and sent me on my way.
You moved to Venice.
Yeah.
And is that where you met Cheech?
No.
No?
We had these nightclubs where Barry Gordy discovered us. And so the clubs weren't doing that well. And I was out of a job, so I had to go back to Vancouver, where I had my other family, by the way. and
it's another story we're going to
So
get
I
to.
had to go back to Vancouver to get the clubs going again, you know. And by that time, my black family was in Detroit because they followed me to Detroit when I got signed with Motown.
What's the other family? Of the black family on the...
And Shelby.
And Shelby.
The white family.
White family.
And so my black family, you know, they were still in Detroit, which I managed to get them to come to L.A. And I kept the two families. I still got them. They're still there. All those Shelby
Is
and I.
Shelby and the other
Shelby and I are
friend?
no, we're married. Oh yeah,
That's
very.
awesome.
They knew each other before I ended up.
Before you started like sewing
Yeah,
everything together.
We were neighbors. I met Shelby when she was like 16 years old, still in high school, and we were just friends. That's why we're still together now.
That's the
because you can't
best.
break up with a friend.
It hurts too much. It hurts too much.
No reason to. Mm-mm. So anyway, I went back, and that's where I met Cheech, because I started improv. We had two clubs going at the same time, which were given to me, by the way,
By
the club owners.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are each doing individual comedy?
No, not at all. We weren't doing any comedy. No, it was a strip club and an after-hours club. No, the after-hours club had the band, so I couldn't work there. But the strip club, because of the girls, obviously, you know, I'd rather be at the strip club than the after-hours club, you know.
Okay.
And I started working lights. I was a light guy, and besides the owner. And so while I was working the lights, I got a chance to study the show. And I noticed one thing. Well, first of all, I was involved. I got turned on to improvisational comedy. the Second City and
Yeah.
Committee and all those guys. I got turned on to them when I was with the Vancouvers, because we go to a city like Chicago, and everybody else would go to a blues club or after hours clubs. I would go to the improv club, Second City, and sit there and be entertained and learn all these bits and everything. And then San Francisco, same thing. Whenever we played there, I would go to the Committee when I was in San Francisco. So when I was sitting up there in the light booth looking down at the girly show, I realized that the girls look so beautiful when they come to work. You know, they're in their little street clothes. They look as young as they are,
Right.
you know, blue jeans and blouses, you know, beautifully hip clothes. But when they changed into the stripper outfit, then they would become like just any other kind of stripper.
Right.
And so I realized that it would be sexier if we saw the girls, if they're going to take off their clothes, take off their street clothes. That's sexier than the other thing.
They looked better coming in.
Yeah,
Right.
and so I started this improv club using the girls as actresses, and then I had a buddy that worked the door, long-haired freak named Dave, and when the other MC quit, then I said to Dave, "Do you want to be the MC?" And Dave says, "I'll do it if you do it," and it was like a challenge, and so I said, "Okay." So now I'm on stage, and not only directing it, but I'm also acting in it now. And then we just, you know, did the old improv club thing, you know, take suggestions from the audience, and then we take a half-hour intermission while the girls danced.
That's
the other
brilliant.
girls did.
That's just brilliant.
No, actually, they weren't dancing. We treated it like an improv club. We'd take our intermission, and then we'd write the bits that they suggested. And then when we come back out, it would be a new audience.
That
And so because a lot
Oh
of them
my
thought it was a
God.
strip club,
right.
and so we got the chance to perform in front of like 2 shows a night, in front of a new audience.
And when did you break out from there? Like, when
Well-
did you
well, first of
decide
all-
you're going to do like?
Well, first of all, what
Solo
happened?
comedy. It's crazy.
We there was 2 of us, the 2 hippies, Dave and me, and then we needed a straight guy to do the cop bit. You know, when we do bits about cops and that.
Right.
And so we hired a real actor named Rick Lenz, but he was a straight actor and kind of religious, and his wife was, you know, uptight and everything. And so we got so popular with the burlesque hippie improv that we were on the front page of the paper with Rick. They took the straight guy and put the girls with their titties in one ear and the titties in the other ear. and his wife saw that picture, and she literally took Rick out by the ear. You know, you're out of here, buddy. And so I needed a straight man. And so this one customer, loyal customer, he owned a hippie newspaper called Poppin'. And he said to me, he took me aside, a Russian, by the way. There's a lot of Russian connection here. And so he said, I know a guy that would be perfect for the act. Because once I started the improv club, all the actors and improv people came gathering around, became a place to hang out.
Right.
And so Ihor was one of those guys. And he says, I know a guy that's perfect for the third guy. And that's when I met Cheech. And then I told Cheech what I was doing, and Cheech was funny. He didn't say yes right away. He says, I'll come here and look. I'll watch it. I'll see if it's suitable for me.
Right.
In the meantime, he's delivering carpets for $5 an hour. You know? So he came down. Of course, he saw our act, and he loved it. And he joined up, and then we got fired because we turned the crowd from a bunch of crazed drunks, horny guys that threw money around.
Right. All the strip club guys.
Yeah, to 300 theater goers who would sip their wine and count their change.
That, you know,
And we lost money. The more people come in there, we
so
lost
hard to
money.
make money.
And
Any entrepreneurial thing.
yeah.
So then you guys go
Well,
on and get a Grammy. How long were you performing together before you get that Grammy? 'Cause
3 years now.
That's a
3
big
years.
moment too.
We joined 69. We went to 70. We spent in L.A. Scruffing around, trying to make it, doing auditions, everything. And then 71, we had our first record. 72,
That's
and then
amazing.
73, we had a we got nominated the first year for our first album, but it was the third year that we finally got a win.
Was there anyone like you in the market? Like
No.
anybody else
No,
doing
no,
that? Just
no.
people were just waiting to
Well,
absorb the
it was
goodness.
by accident in a way. We were struggling around when we came from Canada. See, I didn't know Cheech was really Mexican.
What?
Yeah, no one knew in Canada. No one knew because he snuck across the border during the war.
Oh, like that he not just his heritage, but he actually came from Mexico.
No, he came from L.A. He came from L.A.
I love that so much.
But he Mexico, Chihuahua actually is his family. But during the war, they were putting Mexicans in the war as fast as they could find them, and so he got out of there. He had a college deferment, but they said no, and so they gave him a draft notice, and he burned his draft card, thanks to Muhammad Ali, and he snuck across to Canada. And he got up to Canada, became a landed immigrant up there. And when I met him, he had broken his leg and he was recovering. He had a skiing accident, and he was recovering and working as a writer. And like I said, nobody in the group, we didn't know that he was what he was.
Right.
He was some kind of schmingy, some kind of something.
And how did he make good? Came back to the U.S. and
Well, what happened, we came back to L.A. with our act that we had in Canada, and we worked around. Everybody loved us and everything, but we never hit it until one night we were at a club in the valley here, out here. What was it called? I forget the name of the club. It was a dance club. All I know is that they had dancing.
you have good luck in those.
But we had a guy that was a big fan that was trying to turn the club into more. And so we hired Cheech and Chong, yeah. And so the first show, it didn't go over very well because people weren't there for comedy. They were there to dance. And so all we did was prolong the wait. And so they weren't that thrilled. And usually we kill because they're there for comedy. But these people, they're from the valley. They were there to dance. And so between the shows, I said to Cheech, come on, man, you're from here. There must be a character that you can do that these people are going to relate to. And he said, yeah, there is one. But I said, what's the matter? What do you mean, but? He says, it's a little detrimental to the Latino race. I said, well, we're comedians, man. That's our job.
Safe.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I said, what's the character? So we were standing outside the club earlier, and this Chicano lowrider pulled up, and the car made that noise, the
Yeah.
lowrider noise. He pulls up, and he was it a convertible? I think it was a convertible. Anyway, he yelled over to us, "Hey, man, you tell me where Van Nuys Boulevard is?" And Cheech goes, "You're on it, man. This is Van Nuys." He's, "Oh, okay, thanks, man." And he drove off. Well, we looked at each other. We laughed. That was it was so funny, knowing the people. And so Cheech says, "That's the guy." I said, "Well, perfect." And I remembered the bit that, from all my years in the black clubs and that, there was a great pantomime bit about a black comedian would take a date out for a ride in his car. And it was like a hilarious bit. And he pantomimed the whole date. and the way he would tell you see it was a car, he would pretend to brush it off. And so he'd create the car on stage.
Right.
And so I showed Cheech that part, creating the car. And then we decided that when he got in the car, he would drive it, and then he would say, then I would appear, "Hey, man, hey, can you give me a ride?" Or anyway, he'd pick up, I'd be hitchhiking. And then once I got in the car, "Hey, thanks for stopping, man." And then the bit grew as we did it over and over again, it grew. But that's basically was the basic thing. And then when "Hey, nice car," and then he would take off. Cheech would drive real fast, pretend like he's, a race car driver. And I would sit there like I'm scared, out of my mind. And then when he'd stop, he'd say, "So where you going, man?" And I'd say, "Oh, right at the end of the block is fine, man." And that bit grew into Up in Smoke. But that was the character. See, that character, when Cheech discovered that character, our career just skyrocketed, just blew up.
The best. Oh my God. I have to tell you that I almost cried with that story.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I almost fell out of my chair when I found out years and years ago that you were Chinese. I always thought you were Mexican.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But the thing is, when I was a kid, see, I came from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Calgary is really on native land, the city itself. The whole Canada was all native. Lakota Sioux, Blackfeet, all these tribes. And so Calgary was like in the middle, and it's surrounded by these reservations. See? And so Calgary is really all native. I found out just recently that I'm 8% native.
Really?
My mother was quarter. My grandmother was half.
Wow.
And
Had
even
no
me,
idea.
and even though my mother married a Chinese guy, they never told us about our native heritage.
Crazy.
It wasn't until we got the DNA. And then everything makes sense. Oh, we had an aunt that disowned us. We had people, relatives acting weird, acting weird. When you're hiding a lie like that, you become isolated,
Yes, it's a lot of suppression.
Yeah.
And you guys grew up through a lot of suppression.
Yeah, and especially in Calgary. And like my first band was a black guy and a native, Sarsi native, and myself. And so we're all, people of color.
Yeah.
And then, but I was half white. See, that's the whole thing. People always forget about the half white part.
Yeah.
They always focus, like Obama, They couldn't, everything he was the black president, black. No, he was a half white president.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
why a lot of his things, that's why he got elected.
Could
because
be.
he could.
He talked both sides.
He could
yes,
live
he can
in both
relate
worlds.
to both worlds, and it's a
Totally.
beautiful thing, right?
Totally.
Bridging
yeah.
the gap.
And that's the way it should be. And that's the way it's going to be,
That's why we're making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Russia is there now because when Russia was invaded by Genghis Khan, and so everybody there is Chinese. They got Chinese.
It's very true, right?
Yeah, the Chinese in their DNA, Chinese in their looks.
Yes.
Those Russian models in that, man, they look so exotic. Why? Because they got that Chinese blood in there.
I get mistaken for being Asian often.
Yeah.
But it does come from Polish, the Russia side, like way back.
That's
I
Genghis
think you're
Khan.
right.
Genghis
I think you're
Khan,
right.
man. They were.
So we've always wondered why, but that's why.
That's what it is.
So I want to hit on something. You have been featured on High Times more than anyone.
Yeah.
You, my
Yeah.
favorite magazine of the world.
Yeah.
A few times with Cheech, but then you by yourself.
Yeah.
And put yourself out there over the decades, like we talked about, as the cannabis advocate, living your life unapologetically, doing brilliant things while high, raising a couple families beautifully, integrating cannabis, but owning that over and over and over again. And then in 2003, you had built a family business, Nice Dreams, where you sold glass, which we look through on our cars every day, harmless glass. His was in the shapes of bongs and pipes, selling it legally in a legal business, paying taxes, as you always have. You weren't really, I don't know any time you ever broke the law that I could find, other than,
Nope.
taking a plant, but you were eating cucumbers all that time too. And I have to go to the notes because I think this was the time this works against you. And we talk about suppression and how, colored communities are suppressed, but, you were ahead of that. You were bringing all these colors together. I had no idea how much of a rainbow you've been, which is the best. And in 2003, there's an Operation Pipe Dreams. And it was put on by a woman, Mary Beth Buchanan, who was the U.S. Attorney.
Well, she was in charge of it.
She was in charge
She
of
was
it.
put in charge of it by John Ashcroft.
Is that who started this?
Yeah, and Bush. Ashcroft. I would say Ashcroft. Ashcroft was a real Bible thumper,
Yeah, these are all
He's the guy that
heads.
covered up the titties on the cement on the backdrop when he's doing a speech. And there was the
Statue?
Wall of Justice, I think.
Right.
and they have these statues with bare breast, and he had them covered up.
Oh, good Lord.
That's the guy that went after us. Yeah.
This guy. He goes around, he starts like soliciting states to go after people who are selling pipes. I refuse to call it paraphernalia because it's just glass when it's sitting in a shop. You can make it whatever you want it to be. A lot of states say, no, we're not going to do that. Iowa and Pennsylvania decide they're going to participate in the sting operation. And as a result, hundreds of businesses and family homes get raided. 55 people get charged. 54 of them get house arrest and a little slap on the wrist. Here's where the law was. In those two states, there was something that said it is prohibited to ship anything that might support the usage of marijuana. They called it drug paraphernalia. These are glass pipes. Whatever happened, unimportant, because in my mind, there was no crime committed. However, out of the 55 people that were charged, 54 went home, and one person had to spend 9 months in federal prison, probation, fines, and all of your things taken away. It was so fucked up, and that was done, noted in records, because of your notoriety associated with forcing the subculture, the counterculture in cannabis.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All of that is true.
And that sounds like thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you for fighting it.
No, what happened? It was like the ignorance of the right wing. They were looking for an excuse to do the Iraqi war. And so years ago, Nixon used the hippies, the anti-war protesters, to escalate the Vietnam War. Every time they would protest, Nixon would escalate the war. And so they needed something to, because the hippies eventually won. They forced Nixon and the whole gang to stop.
Right.
And so they were looking for some reason to get pipe dreams, some kind of the Iraqi war. Because they had already tried to say that there was enriched uranium. You know, there were these.
The cake.
Yeah, the
yellow cake. Is that what it was?
The cake. What were they? What were they called? They were
sponge
called
cake.
There's something, but they were called the only weapons of mass destruction.
Right. That's what
they were looking for. Weapons of mass destruction, and so I did an interview right after when I got indicted because I didn't have to go to jail. If I had crumbled, crumbled and begged and remorse and all that, they would have given me a slap on the wrist or house arrest. But they asked me about the bust, and I said the only weapons of mass destruction they found were my bongs.
Right.
And Bush and the boys didn't think that was very funny. And so what they did, they went back to Calgary, the cops, the FBI and that, because they're bound to get something on me. And they looked into my juvenile record. I was 15 years old when I was involved in what Calgary called joyriding. It's like getting a stolen car, stealing a car, and then driving the piss out of it and then leaving it.
I never stole.
I never even got in the car that I got charged with. What happened? My buddy who stole the car stalled a block or 2 blocks away from my house. So he called me, and I went over to help him get the car started. And the cops pulled up, and we ran to my house. Only trouble is the snow had just fallen, and so they had tracks.
They could follow you right to it.
To our house. And we jumped in bed with our clothes on, and the cops right behind us knocked on the door. Come on, you guys. My mother, to her credit, she goes, "They've been here all night." And the cop pushed her aside. Hey, come on, you guys.
You're right,
so we went to jail. I was 15, and we went to court, and we were fined $100. And so what they did, see, that juvenile record is not supposed to be looked at,
right,
or considered. They looked at it.
No.
Yeah, they do that. That's the United States government. They look at everything.
They used it.
And what they did, they had a justification so they can tell the judge, this guy's, like a criminal intent.
In 2003, they used that against you?
Yeah, yeah.
That is
and that's
insane.
how they came up with the reason that I should be incarcerated. Because I had something on my record.
Anybody listening right now that hears that story, if there is any ounce of you that doesn't think there's suppression and happening and strings being pulled within our government today, you're just mistaken.
And I was the only brown guy in the bust.
Yep.
Everybody else in the pipe dream, as far as I know, were white.
Yep.
And I was the only brown guy, and so that's why I went.
But punished for being your authentic self with something so harmless. Like, it's incredible
medicine.
right now. It's a medicine, it's a plant, and it is
And it's
meant
always
to
been a
be.
medicine.
Yes.
And not only that, it's a holy sacrament.
Exactly.
And it was a holy sacrament probably before it became a medicine, because it's all through the Bible. They call it canna in the Bible. And it's what what Samson gave him strength. And that's what the burning bush in the Bible, that's what they're talking about. The burning bush was the canna plant, the marijuana plant.
Do you feel responsible for some of the... Well, I want to talk on one more thing, because they did come at you against in 2008. 2008, Mary Beth Buchanan, Behind Something Else, Operation Something, but they go into some labs and they steal your autobiography DVDs, like DVDs of your message that's going to go out to 10,000 people. Feds swipe up your DVDs and they never gave them back, and there was no record of them being taken during that time.
It was the documentary. It was a documentary, a.k.a. Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
And they come in, they took them.
Well,
it shows them. It shows you they were, all
suppressing
all
the
through.
message.
Well, we proved that in the Vietnam War with the Pentagon Papers, and they've been proving it now. As we talk, the same illegal surveillance is going on. Reagan used it. Now I'm quite sure Obama used it. That's why Trump was so paranoid. He says, "I'm being bugged." Of course you are, Donald. You were bugged the minute you started making noise against calling him a birther,
Yeah.
So Obama knows everything about Trump.
It's
They know
happening
about him.
everywhere.
But
So
they're using
crazy.
him. That's what the Republicans are doing now. They're just using him. Like they got
Yes,
their
they have
judges.
to.
They got their tax break. They got to put up with a crazy guy, but
We all do.
so what?
So you feel accountable? Do you feel responsible for where we're at? Or at least some, and I hope you do. I give you so much credit for where we are as a nation today with this plant. And, just step by, you've taken a couple punches. They want to slap you every time they walk by. But, you've carried a lot of us. You guys really did.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even, know how to thank you, really.
Well, this is a nice way. The macaroons.
Little
are
lunch,
great.
kind bar.
Love that. And
I'm
sit
going
and
to
talk
steal
to a
your weed
beautiful
later.
lady. That's a
Steal your weed
reward.
and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I get stopped everywhere I go. Take pictures and everything.
Now I have fun questions. What is your favorite strain?
I used to say anything given to me by a naked lady,
Boy, that was good in those club days then.
but lately my favorite strain is anything given to me by anybody.
That's been my strain this whole time.
Yeah,
Well, my new favorite strain is going to be Rainbow Cookies by
yeah.
Tommy Chong.
Yeah, they're good. I think it's sativa. I think.
Oh my God, sativa pre-rolls are my second
I
spirit
think-
animal, only second to you.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
I bought one of these. In a
you bought it.
in a what do you call those coin operated
Vending machine?
vending machines?
You bought a joint in a vending
I bought
machine?
a Tommy Chong joint.
Where are these vending machines?
This one was on Santa Monica Boulevard near La Cienega.
Really?
In a little smoke shop there. But I saw it. I got to do
Hell yeah, the new smoke machines.
$14, man.
That's a deal.
Expensive. Is it a deal?
It is a deal.
I've
California
never
is
paid for
taxing
pot, except the 9 months in jail.
it. Oh my God! In which you shared a cell with Jordan Belfort.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. And then
Jordan?
Wolf of Wall Street, right? Jordan Belfort. If people don't know,
Oh, he was a lousy lover, though.
was he? God,
I
don't
wouldn't
tell me
shave.
that. I
He
had a
wouldn't
different
shave.
idea. I had a different idea
No,
in
I'm
my head
kidding.
about him.
I'm kidding. It wasn't a cell. It was a cubicle. Because we were in a low, what do you call it?
Writer?
Club
Low writer?
club cupcake, they call it. Martha Stewart jail.
Oh,
A federal. Yeah, we had tennis courts. We had a
course you
running
did.
track. We had a football field. We had weights.
did you have TV? Did you have TV?
No, we had TV room for 24 hours. You could go there with other guys and watch TV for 24. 24/7.
So it wasn't bad.
We had showers. You could stay in the shower forever. It was originally a woman's prison, and so we had our own water tank, and so we could take 45 an hour showers.
Okay, federal prison or Holiday Inn? What do you pick?
Oh, federal prison for sure. Oh yeah.
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Federal prison or Motel 6? Oh, wait.
Oh,
no,
so-
I got to go the other way. Federal prison or Ritz-Carlton?
Ritz-Carlton.
Okay, that's our limit.
Yeah.
So tax
You got to
dollars.
go for the Ritz.
That's my favorite.
No, the Fed was what we had was great. Like I said, it was supposed to be a women's prison, so they had doors on all the toilets, and they had so you had privacy, and like you said, endless showers, and there was a contest between the two units. So whoever had the cleanest unit got a few privileges. Got to go to breakfast first and all that stuff. And so the contest, guys love contests.
Right.
And so they would come in with this big old fire hose and just hose down everything. It was so clean. You literally could eat off the floor. and they're kind of anal about it, too. Because when I got anal, because my job, because I was an old guy, I didn't have to work. But I got caught in the garden. I missed a count because I'm deaf too, and so as my punishment, I had to do a job of sweeping up cigarette butts and sweeping, and I got into it. I'm obsessed. So I started sweeping things. I'd stand beside a guy with smoking and wait for him to drop the cigarette butt.
I'm ready, dude. I got this.
And then I'd sweep it up because you got nothing but time. You got nothing but time. So I really enjoyed my time in jail.
Well, and you inspired Jordan to make a movie.
Jordan's story is funny. That's why we're a bunch of comedians together, because Jordan really is his life story is like a real life movie. Well, it was Wolf of Wall Street.
Amazing.
He is a genius, but kind of bent, in the wrong way. Illegally, he was supposed to be a doctor because he was like a child
Prodigy. Super smart.
Genius. So he was very young. He goes to medical school, and the professor says, "If you're here to make a lot of money, then you better get up and leave now." And Jordan got up and left. and then he started working odd jobs. He wasn't in school anymore. And he told me all this. He had one job where he would take a load of meat from the meat distributor. Then he'd go into the rich neighborhoods, and then he'd knock on doors. And he'd say, "Listen, ma'am, I got a little problem here. This people ordered this load of meat, and now they moved, or they don't want it, and I got a load of meat. I don't want to take it back to the warehouse because it's going to cost me and everything else. And he's really a good, cute little guy,
Right.
And he usually got the ladies, and then we go, oh, I'll buy
your meat.
I'll buy your meat. and so he did that around the neighborhood. But then a buddy of his pulled up in a Corvette or something, and they'd been struggling together. And all of a sudden, George goes, "What's with the new car? What happened?" He says, "I'm a stockbroker."
Boom.
And so Jordan said, "Tell me about it." And so he did. And like I said, he's a genius. So as soon as he got into that area, he saw where he could make a fortune.
Right. When that professor said, if you want to make a lot of money, and he
now.
got out, he's like, I'm going to go make a shit ton of money. In
That's
fact,
what-
so much money.
That's what he did.
I'm going to live the rest of my days in a federal
That's what
prison.
he did. Yeah. No, he didn't have to go to jail.
He didn't?
He had New York wired. He had everybody was bought. New York. That's Trump town.
Everywhere.
That's Trump town.
Yeah.
If you got the money, you got you walk. And so Jordan wasn't even though they busted him and they got him red-handed and all that stuff, he's under house arrest. He's got an ankle bracelet on.
Yeah.
But he got bored. And he's a helicopter pilot. He learned how to fly. Like I said, he's a genius. So he could fly his own helicopter. So he phones up a couple of friends. Said, "Come on, let's go to Atlantic City." "But Jordan, you're on house arrest." "Ah, no, the hell with that. Don't worry about it." He gets in the helicopter. They go to Atlantic City. He's with his couple of ladies, I guess. They take a picture of him. It's on the New York. It's on
Oh,
the
my
front
God.
page. The judge looks at it and says, "Sorry, Jordan," and they put him in jail.
That's
how he
when
went to jail.
Jordan loves a good time. Can't
Oh,
give it up.
Oh, and so then that night, every night when we ended up together, it wasn't right off the bat. It was when he ended up there. I'd been in there a couple of months. But anyway, they always put celebrities together. And so Jordan and I ended up together. And he was weird. In jail, he thinks he's outside. And he had people hired. Everybody in prison worked for him. And he used to play backgammon with one guy and play tennis and talk to somebody. I'd do two things at once.
Amazing.
And he'd always win that backgammon. It's crazy. And so we had our own private dining area because I was a celebrity. You know, there's like the Goodfellas movie.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, where they slice up the garlic. Well, we had one of those situations going. There's a golf caddy named Eric Larson who caddied for a lot of famous people. He was doing a lot of time for a crime he never committed, too.
Wow.
And so he ran the garden. He's from Minnesota, so Wisconsin, somewhere there. And he built these incredible vegetable gardens. And so we would eat healthy every night. Eric would cook. He would take
Just for the celebrity people?
3 hours, yeah. Just our car. Your little thing was called a car. And so when Jordan got there, I invited him into the car. Eric didn't like Jordan off the bat. He didn't like what he did. He didn't cheating people and everything. And so Eric, okay. We had one rule in the car. The new guy had to wash the pots and pans. Yeah. And so for a while there, it was me. I was a new guy, and I washed the pots and pans. You don't mind. You know, you're in jail. You do what you got to do. Jordan wouldn't wash the pots and pans. He hired someone to wash the pots and pans.
I hate him.
And so he was fired. He got fired out of the car.
Did he get kicked out of the car?
He got kicked out of the car.
And
yeah.
That's right. So you had the car with Cheech on the stage
Yeah.
and then Jordan. You have finally the biggest stoner culture video game, right? You're finally coming out with
Yes.
a Cheech and Chong video game in 4 of 2020.
And how to grow a bud.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's a grow contest.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's going to be great. Oh,
Did you participate in creating the game?
just saying okay to our names.
Right.
That's basically
And then
what we
looking
did.
at it and
then
thinking
and
it's
then
fun.
coming and promoting it, like I'm doing
Yes.
now. No, there's geniuses. This is from Vancouver. You know, the tech people.
So good nowadays, isn't it?
The only thing bothers me about tech people, when you ask them a question, they don't answer. They take your phone out of your hand and then they do it themselves, and then they hand it back to you.
The smartest people ever are 20 years old right now.
Yeah,
It's
they don't
like,
have time to try to deal with old guys that can't understand.
They know how to do everything. It's like you're thinking of doing something and they go, "Have you checked that app?" And I'm like, "What? There's an app for that too? It's for everything."
Everything.
Everything.
I was struggling trying to learn tango, and I'm looking for teachers, and I found
Tango?
Tango, and I found a teacher and everything else. Finally, someone got me to buy an iPad, and then they showed me how to go on YouTube, and there's tango.
Have
There's
you
all my
learned?
lessons that I need right there in front of me.
Are you doing them?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah, tango. Oh.
you got some smooth.
What tango does is it keeps you young. And the way it keeps you young is that it makes you walk upright. See, as we get
I'm gonna
older,
sit up straight
as
right
we
now
get
as you
older, we
say
start letting the gravity pull you down. And if you've been around like for 100 years, you're not only shrunk, but you can feel the ground pulling you into
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Yeah. Well, tango, in order to dance tango, you have to have perfect balance. And the only way to have perfect balance is when you walk, you got to use the whole foot. You can't skimp or limp or slide around. So you have to use that whole foot. And then in order to dance tango, the man, because he leads, he's the bass, he has to be upright. His shoulders, anyway. The shoulders have to be up and back. And
oh
then
my God, you did Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, and when you turn,
That's right. I
when you
just
turn,
remembered that.
you use your shoulders to turn your partner, So it's a signal. You're not telling her or pushing her. You're using your shoulders. You use your shoulders to show her which way she's got to go, because your partner has to be on one foot or the other. And so the trick of tango is that knowing what foot she's on and knowing what she's going to do when you get her moving in that certain direction. And so originally tango was a dance, a mating dance in Africa, where you played with your feet. And that's why the African sailors and that became expert tango dancers. The only trouble is when tango started coming out of Africa, they had no way to have a partner. And so what the dancers would do, they would go to the brothels, and they would hire the girls, but instead of for sex, it was for the dance.
I bet the girls were happy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, phew,
yeah.
let's go dance.
Yeah, and then they get to, but I think because they're African, I think they kind of worked that sex part in there too.
It doesn't have anything to do with being African. Dual family man.
but that's how tango, and then tango became so popular in the brothels that it ended up being, in the movies. It was
Fred Astaire,
Rudolph Valentino.
Oh my God, even further back.
He was the one that introduced tango into the movies, and then once it hit the movies, it hit the world, and it's still going on very, very strong right now.
You're inspiring me to tango. What is your favorite movie?
Movie? Mm-hmm. The Joker. Right now.
Oh, your new one.
Yeah.
That's twisted, isn't
Yeah.
it? Oh, Did you see Parasite, the one that won the Academy Award?
Yeah, I love that one too.
That was some twisted. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
You know, it was the first movie, I think, where you had smell-o-vision, because you could really smell the ghetto.
Oh, and then
especially that little kid when he walks over and he's, you smell like that guy.
Like, I just got the chills thinking of that guy coming up the stairs.
Oh, they've
just
been living
up
there
and
the whole
down
time.
my spine.
How about that knife scene where?
I couldn't sleep that night.
Shelby, my wife. It was so shocking.
Shocking. I couldn't sleep. I had to literally watch MTV shows after that to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But like, Are You the One? Just smut TV.
Clean the brain.
Which are so good. Yeah, just so I could let go of that
what
twisted mind fuck of a movie.
Oh, that movie. I mean, I like, movies are like people, they're so individual.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to compare. But I think it was the greatest Academy Award, winners
in a while.
In a long time.
Yes, it was that good. So
I mean, they started bitching about no woman director, but I think it got lost because of the creativity of both the Joker and the winners.
Yes, the winners.
How about Renee Zellweger?
Judy. I just watched that. I'll be honest, I fell asleep, but I'm going to pick it up.
You know what I loved about? Yeah, you're like my wife. I got to watch.
3 nights
I
in a
got to
row.
watch Project Runway.
Season 1, Episode 1, 5 nights straight.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, I'm so bad at all of that. I'm still, I forget.
But Judy, I mean,
brilliant. Brilliant.
You know what I loved about
sad.
her? You know what I loved about her? The one thing, the way she would do her lips.
Oh, and Renee killed it.
Yeah, she would do her. That's what old people do.
You were just at.
Because they don't want to show their teeth, and they want to make their lips fatter.
I was thinking about that this morning. I wondered if I was starting to do it.
Doesn't matter.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Whatever you do, it makes you look beautiful.
I'm going to wear anything to make him look bigger.
Oh, she does her, and she did that pouty thing. Oh
my God, dude, will you come back, please? And then
sure.
Can I
Are we done?
just stalk you at places? I think so. Tony, are you making a sleeve? Is someone coming in here? I hate you.
Oh, okay.
Tony, not so sweet today. Bad man.
Tony's a great guy.
I want you to come back. I want to do a part 2.
Sure.
Will you promise?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we didn't even
Did we
touch
cover all
on
the
the
bases?
thing. Did we touch everything we want to?
You got my Chong choice. That's Tommy Chong.
Do we mind?
Oh my gosh, tour dates.
That's what I was telling you.
Oh, do we have tour dates?
You do. Hold on, I might have them printed.
Should I don't even know because
No,
Cheech heard himself, and so he's been laid up.
What did he do?
He had a knee replacement that he put off for 12 years. But the last time we performed, he fell over some, his knee gave out and he fell over some monitors.
All right, so let's do this. Let's fill in tour dates later.
Yeah.
So
Next time.
next time.
Yeah, because we're not going to tour till June.
And we might both be quarantined here for the coronavirus, so we'll just keep doing
No,
podcasts.
I'm not. I got the
to
best
LA?
vaccine.
Where you go? What is it?
It's what do you call it? Pastors in the army and the religious people use.
Give it to me.
It's called being protected by God. There's a
love
thing
that.
called, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I
Yes.
shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. All you have to do is know that thou art with me, and it'll protect you against everything, not just a virus, but against anything. But you always have to have your mind on God. That's the key. And whenever you start getting a negative thought, just change your thought to God, not who he is, what he is, or she is, or anything like that. Just the word God has that power. And that's why the ministers and people around here, Osteen, all those guys, they use that power, and they spread that power, and that word, just the word alone, has so much power. Because think about it, every religion on the planet worships that one word,
Yes.
and so all you have to do is think about that one word, and you're vaccinated.
And that is one of the best lessons you've given me out of all the decades. And I love you with all my heart.
Yeah.
I love you for making me laugh for so many years. And still again, whenever which I did last night, Mama Suck It to me, try to tell me how to live. I knew every word. I've never forgotten. I don't even know how, but
But I don't listen to him because
my head is like a sieve. Da, 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 da. My daddy, he just sold me because I wore my sister's clothes. Da, 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 da. Caught me in the bathroom with a pair of pantyhose. Oh my God, dreams come true. I love lunch with you
Oh, thank you.
every day.